everybody, how are you today? This is Glendora, cheerful look at life. And did I tell you about John Barrymore? He said to Jimmy Durrani, Jimmy, you should play Hamlet. And Jimmy says, well, no, I like the big markets like New York. Did you hear about the man? His friend asked him for money so he could get a facelift. And so the man who loaned the money, he was asked, did you ever get your money back? And he says, no. He says, I tried, but I don't know what he looks like. And the minister who gave funeral services, and he didn't like to write new funeral services, so he told his computer, he says, take out the name Mary, who was the last person who died, and put in the name Edna, who is this person who's died. And everything went along very, very well, and then it came the Apostles' Creed, and it said, Jesus, born of the Virgin Edna. And Arthur says he has a very low opinion of himself. He says whenever the boss starts out somebody new in the company, he brings them to Arthur's desk so the new person can see how the company is built from the bottom up. And Billy was going to start jogging, and he was going to do it faithfully, but he got winded putting on his sneakers. And John says that he grew up to be the kind of a person that his mother never wanted him to play with. And the little boy said, Daddy, what's an example of minority rule? And Daddy said, having a baby in the house. Dad, about the recital, he says there's going to be real people at the recital, not just parents. Marilyn said, Mommy, if you give me $1, I'll be good. And Mommy says, of course not. You be like your father. He's good for nothing. And there was an earthquake reported to come to the area where this young couple lived, so they sent their young son deep into the interior where the boy would be safe. And the next day, they got an email from the uncle saying, I'm returning the boy, send me the earthquake. Paul was told by his doctor, he says, you mustn't shovel snow. You'll have a heart attack. So Paul went home and he said, son, will you please shovel the snow? And his son said, yes, Dad, I'll start immediately. And Paul had a heart attack. Edgar said he had, before he was married, he had 3 theories about raising children. And now that he's married, he has 3 children and no theories. The babysitter, the couple came home and they apologized to the babysitter that they were late. And the babysitter said, that's okay, if I had kids like these, I'd be late too. I got a really pretty furry creature over here. Let's see if she will come over and meet you. Will you come over and meet the people? Because you're so pretty. Huh? Yeah, you're so pretty. Could you just come over? Yeah. And could you just say hello? Could you just say hello to the peoples? With those beautiful green eyes? Yeah. Oh, it isn't that bad. Oh, I wish you wouldn't do that. I wish you would smile. All right. So we'll try anything. A man, his son came home with all A's on his report card, and the man said, he must get his brains for me. And his wife said, he must. I still have mine. Did I ever tell you about the couple? Their teenage children, 3 teenage children, asked them what they wanted for their 22nd wedding anniversary. And they said, our own telephone. Joan and Ed named their first son after his father. Guess what they called him? Pop. the nursery school teacher had the children out for a walk, and she says, "At least, children, there is something we can all be thankful for. We are all free." And the little boy says, "I am not free, I am poor." And you heard about the couple that had identical twin daughters. So what did they name them? Kate and Duplicate. The lawyer says, "It gives me a grand and a glorious feeling to dispense legal advice." And his client says, "That's right. You give him a grand and he feels glorious." The ideal contract is a contract with words too big to pronounce and print too small to read. Two cars collided. A third car drove up. A man got out of the third car. He said, "I saw the whole thing happen. I'm a lawyer. I'll take either side." And if you can't get a lawyer who knows the law, then for pity's sake, get one who knows the judge. Harold said to Bob, "I'm worried about my fourth daughter getting married." And Bob said, "Why?" And Harold says, "Well, on account of my first daughter married a man from Singleton, New Hampshire, and they had one child. And my second daughter married a man from Twin Oaks, New Hampshire, and they had two children. And my third daughter married a man from Three Rivers, Michigan, and they had three children." And Bob says, "So why are you worried about your fourth daughter?" And Harry says, "She's going with a man from the Thousand Islands." Important interview I probably ever had was Robert C. Wright, and I pushed all the wrong buttons. Robert C. Wright, who's the chairman and chief executive officer of NBC Television, or NBC Network. And wouldn't you know, and I spelled my name wrong, but that's the way it always goes. All right, this is the opening. So now we will play it, and then you stand by to record over here. You want to see that button? This button right here. It's what you call a hard edit. You just press the button. That's a hard edit. First, I have some things here to tell you that was sort of amusing. My husband sings in the choir, and the director of the choir works for the state, and the state gave everybody a bonus. They gave him 2 days off. And so the soprano said, "Gee, you're wonderful, you know." He said, "Under what sign were you born?" And the alto said, "Under the dollar sign." In 1987, I got a call from the David Letterman show. And they'd heard about a Chat with Glendora on cable TV, and they invited me to be a guest on it. And so the negotiations went on, and finally it happened, and it was in September, I believe, of 1987.
It's Late Night with David Letterman. Tonight, Susan St. James, cable talk show host Glendora.
And I went, and Rob Reiner was there. He was one of the guests. And another woman was there, and she talked so much and so long that poor David didn't have time for a chat with Glendora.
Glendora, who was supposed to be here tonight, will not be here tonight. She'll be here tomorrow night.
And so the next night I went, and Franklin, my husband, went with me, and he thought that David Letterman was very funny, and probably the best audience David Letterman ever had. And so we sat in the green room, and they caked makeup on me, which was just horrible. And then I went on the show.
Right, now, let's just bring out Glendora, shall we? Okay. My next guest believes in using television to spread her own special brand of happiness. She has made over 100 commercials. We have an example of one right here.
Hey, folks. How are you today? Just miserable, right? This is Glendora for delicious Worthington Vegelinks. Vegelinks by Worthington, folks, have no cholesterol. Delicious Vegelinks have fewer calories than regular hot dogs, and Vegelinks have no preservatives. I have no preservatives either. You see the wrinkles? Get your delicious Vegelinks at the Glendora Health Nook at
No need to shop everywhere. Go straight to Twin Fair.
And her show, A Chat with Glendora, has featured guests like Robert C. Wright, the president of NBC. Folks, please welcome the happiness lady, Glendora. Hi, Glendora. How are you? Pleasure to see you. Please have a seat. Where are you from, Glendora? Where does this show take place? Where can people see this?
Oh, the Chat with Glendora?
Yeah.
You can see this on Manhattan Cable TV and Paragon Cable TV, and you can also see it in Westchester, where all the rich people live, United Artists Cable.
And from where does it originate?
Well, of course, we originated at Mr. Wright's office and at Madeline Smithberg's dressing room and at Mr. and the chairman of General Foods and the chairman of Nestle's. We originated in people's offices. Some people come to our home, David.
I see.
The chairman of Colgate-Palmolive, Pete, came to our home.
How do you get all of these people?
At 7 a.m.
Yeah. And I guess you were steamed, huh, that he was there so early?
Well, the thing that interested me about him, David, was that he did his own marketing research, and he went through all of our cupboards to see if we had any Colgate-Palmolive products.
And what did the research turn up?
Zero.
Zero.
He didn't look under the sink cupboard where he would have found something. He didn't go into the bathroom cupboard. He really would have found something.
Now, tell me about the show. What is the format? When somebody tunes in, what do they see?
They see where were you born, where'd you go to school, what were your jobs, what is your present work like, and what advice would you give a youngster to get started on such a career today?
So it's an interview show primarily?
Yes, that's what we asked Mr. Wright.
Yeah, a half-hour show, is it?
Yes, isn't it amazing what the public will stand?
And is it on once a week?
Yeah, oh yes.
And how many years have you been on the air?
Well, I've been on television 35 years, but that show's been on the air a year and 3/4.
Are you hoping that this particular show will maybe grow, perhaps expand, maybe get to a network status or a local TV station or something?
Well, I sort of doubt that.
You don't think that'll happen? No. Well, you sure have the wardrobe for it, you know. Now let's take a look. Show me some of the footage. This is Robert Wright, the president of NBC. You know, how did you get this guy to be on the show? Because we've asked him for years and years.
Have you?
Oh yeah, and he won't come on the show. How did you get him?
It must be my good looks, huh?
Yeah.
Except I did talk to him over the phone, so that wouldn't have helped. No, I figure this way, David. He's a nice man, and he does want to help the youth. And that's what this is all about.
He wants to help the youth.
Yeah, that's what this problem...
Have we heard anything about that? He wants to help the youth? Paul, did you hear anything about Robert Wright wanting to help the youth of this country?
Robert C. Wright?
Yeah.
Yeah, he wants to help the youth.
I think he just... I think he's just looking to balloon the stock prices. I think that's about all we're into here.
No, he's a very nice man.
Very nice man. All right, now let's take a look at a couple of seconds from his interview on your show, okay? We have that here? Yeah. Robert C. Wright and Glendora, helping the youth. It is A Chat with Glendora.
And then we got General Electric acquired RCA. And then I came over from General Electric to become the president of NBC. And that's how I got here.
Oh, it's such an interesting career. And that's how you ended up in Fairfield, because I think General Electric's cable was centered in Fairfield, wasn't it?
Yes, I actually never worked in Fairfield.
Oh, you never did?
No, I've worked... most recently, my office was in Stamford, Connecticut, before I came here.
Oh.
Although I live in that area, but I didn't work there.
I see, yeah. This is Mr. Robert C. Wright, who is the president and chief executive officer of NBC, and he'll be back in just a second and tell you what his work is like to see if you'd like to aim for that as a career, and then he'll also give you some ideas how to get started in broadcasting in today's world.
Yeah. It seems like you and he were dressed alike. Didn't he? You sort of have the same kind of look there. Now, I don't want to linger on this, but how did General Electric's acquisition of RCA, how did that ultimately help the youth of this country?
What helped the youth was Mr. Wright telling how he got started, because he was at the same point. Yeah, he was at the same point in his development as the youth who watch the program. We hope are in theirs.
I see. Now tell me about your personal recipe for happiness. You're known as the happiness lady.
Well,
is that what they say?
No.
What do they call you?
Glendora.
Yeah.
And what did you say your name was?
I'm Dave.
No.
My last night.
You are a very good interviewer.
Well, thank you.
And I'm going to recommend you for a raise.
Thank you.
The recipe for happiness, David, is that there's one thing in this world that you can do better than anybody else. And if you will go by yourself, you will find out what that is. And you will do it, and you'll be happy. Now, if you don't do it, David, it's going to nag at you every second of your life.
So you find out what it is that you're good at.
No, the one thing that you can do better than anybody else.
The one thing you can do better than anyone else, and you just concentrate on that.
Yes, you do.
And then that'll make you happy.
Well, sure, because you'll get everything you want.
Yeah. And the Vegelinks, vegetable protein, no meat at all in here, right?
No meat.
All right. Well, geez, Glendora, good luck with the show.
Oh, thank you very much.
And I hope you can come back and see us again sometime.
Oh, we'd like to very much. Would that take 2 days or just one the next time?
I don't know. Oh, that's right. You were supposed to be here last night. Okay. We have to go here now. We have other guests. But thank you very much. Nice to see you.
Down here.
6th, the International Convention will be over in England.
It will?
And we're hoping that we get the opportunity to go.
On the 200th anniversary of the freedom of the United States, they're going to have their anniversary in England?
We'll have to see about that.
Well, boys and girls, it's a great privilege tonight to bring to you Mr. Charles Dolan. And he's one of the pioneers of cable. Charles, just tell us, first of all, where were you born?
Cleveland, Ohio.
You were, really?
Right.
I didn't know that you were born in the Midwest. And then you grew up where? There?
In Cleveland. Stayed in Cleveland until 1952.
52?
Right. Then moved to New York.
And moved to New York.
Right.
And where'd you go to school, Charles?
In Cleveland at Cleveland Heights High School and John Carroll University.
Did you really?
Right.
Bob Hope comes from Cleveland.
Yeah, yes, he does. I know that. He was born in London, but the family is from Cleveland. Right.
For sure. At a Bible selling contest, and Edward sold more Bibles than anybody else, and Edward stuttered. So they wanted to know how he did it. And this is how he did it. He would say to a person, do you want to buy a Bible, or do you want me to read it to you? And this fella, he loved to get out into the sun, and he'd put on suntan lotion, every day. So this day he went out and he didn't have any suntan lotion at all, and he went out in the sun and he used Crisco oil, instead of suntan lotion, and he got a beautiful tan. It was just beautiful. So ever since, my mother called him the Crisco Kid. Folks, this is November 2008, Anno Domini, the year of our Lord. And it was last year, in November 2007, that I wrote to 16 judges, just about on all levels. The city court, the Supreme Court, the state court, the federal court, the United States District Courts, and the United States Court of Appeals. The only two courts I didn't do this to, although it applies to them, is the Supreme Court of the United States and the village courts and the town courts. So I guess they're well represented by the municipal court, the city court. And I took a 9x12 envelope, and I wrote on the outside of it, front and back, and sent it in the open mail so that everybody could read it on the postal trail. And this is what I told them. I told these 16 judges, I have listed the statutory violations you have made, the constitutional violations you have made, both constitutions, the United States Constitution and the state constitutions, and I have charged you with these violations,
You chose not to reply. You judges told not to reply. And by the law of failure to deny, you admitted my charges. You committed fraud. Everything. And there is no statute of limitation on fraud. You violated the constitutions, therefore you violated your oaths, because you took an oath to support the Constitution of the United States. You have violated your oath, you have perjured your oath. Perjury. You have committed perjury of your oath. You therefore have disqualified yourself. And by the 3rd and 4th Amendments of the Constitution, 14th Amendment, the state, say for instance the state of New York, and the United States of America, the federal government, doesn't owe you a penny for salary anymore. In other words, you are off the bench. Your gluteus maximus can no longer sit on the bench. And you have done the same as far as the state is concerned. Take the state of New York, for instance. You no longer are due any pension from the state of New York or the federal government. Just let me say that again. They have committed perjury of oath. They have disqualified themselves. Therefore, by the 14th Amendment of the Constitution of the United States, they lose their salary and they lose their pension. So I told them, you have lost and I have won. Goodbye. That was my goodbye to the courts exactly a year ago. Let me show you again how it went. It went on a 9x12 envelope through the open mail where no judge could deny that he didn't receive it or she didn't receive it. And there's a lot of she's in here along with a lot of he's. Let me give you the names of some of these judges. Nichols, McAvoy, Tannenbaum, Angiolillo, Rudolph, Corman, Sotomayor, Uraji, and these judges did such a good job violating the Constitution and your rights under the statutes. They did such a good job that they got promoted. They went from, we'll say they went from the United States District Court to the United States Court of Appeals. They did such a good job cheating. And of course, the big draw from which the judges, United States District judges come, is the district attorneys. The attorney general. The district attorneys are the state people who do just as good a job at lying, stealing, and cheating and violating your rights. But the federal judges, the cookie jar is to take them from being an attorney general. No, that's wrong. That's state. From being a United States attorney. I don't know anybody who lies and steals and cheats more than U.S. attorneys and attorney generals, state of New York or other states. Continuing this list of judges, we have Lodge and Colabella and Ingracia and Nicolai and Bryant and Azraq and Lisa Smith and Gomez and Lisi. Gomez is the one who dismissed my suit against the Rothschilds and Lazard Frere and Rockefeller and all of the other international bankers. Lisi and Allman. Allman is a nut. I think he's from Rhode Island. Sotomayor, Ross, Corman, we said, Fox, Mark D. Fox, John Walker, who was the first cousin of George Bush and got the appointment on the United States Court of Appeals for the Second Circuit in Manhattan. Cal Gracie, another one. Did we mention Mukasey? And Schwartz and Winter. Griesa, Hummel, Christian Hummel. Friedman, Barrington D. Parker, and I guess, and this is only a few of them, dropping the button, but I've sued over 200 judges. I'm going to leave this topic and leave you with some laws. Article 28, which is how the courts should be handled and operated. Rule 1654, in all courts of the United States, the parties may plead and conduct their own cases, personally or by counsel. But remember that personally. You go pro se. Don't you ever, 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 ever hire a lawyer. And if a judge tells you to get a lawyer, you sue that judge instantly for violation of Article 28, 16, 54. You sue him on the spot under civil rights, which is the United States Code, Section 1983. Violation of your civil rights. And also 1984 conspiracy. Another law I want to leave you with before I leave this topic is what I just told you, the Civil Rights Law, the United States Code, Section 1983. That anybody who violates your rights is liable to you. And you sue them for everything they have and a whole lot more. Sue judges when they break the law. Okay. That I bequeath to you. You know about the secretary who said to the clerk, did the judge give you a piece of his mind? And the clerk says, yes, he did. And that's amazing when you consider how low the inventory is. You lost, judges. Citizen won. Goodbye. Crown him Lord of all. Bring forth the royal diadem and crown him Lord of all. You to be happy. I want you to be happy. That is my top priority. And I would like to sit down in this chair and tell you that, but there's a little furry creature here. And furry creature is going to protest. I have had requests to show your beautiful face on the TV. This is .comcat. Okay. There's only 14 other places that you could sit, you know. So I want you to be happy. That is my top priority. And please, please, please don't give up the best offer that you have in your whole life, which is to spend your alone time with God the first 2 hours every morning. Make believe that there's a battery charger there, and make believe you are plugged into the battery charger. And it just flows. It flows, flows, flows through you, and it charges you all up, and it fills you, and it's spilling over. And then you've got a gallon or two to give to somebody else. And it is so much fun, and it's so invigorating. And it gives you so much vitality and alertness and watchfulness and vivacity. Now, this is the joy book. You know what a joy book is? You carry a joy book with you. And you